Time to talk with Dudley Dawson from Hogville. Appreciate his time on a Tuesday afternoon. October 1st, Dudley, it means it's baseball postseason. Unfortunately, neither of our teams are in the baseball postseason.
That's true. You know, like Green Day says, wake me up when September ends. I am throwing my weight behind the Baltimore Razorbacks, though. So, notice neither one of them's in the starting lineup today, but I'm looking forward to it. 4 games this afternoon. I'll do a little work while watching them, but love this time of year.
All right, well, you got to be working on something involving Arkansas, Tennessee, since that's right there in front of us. Toughest opponent of the season to this point, and it's been getting tougher every week, at least for the last, we'd say 4 weeks in a row. You're facing a tougher opponent. It's just some of the similar mistakes between Auburn, Oklahoma State, A&M, issues with pass blocking, kind of leads to the issues with turnovers. And you're facing a stout Tennessee defense. It's just this is going to be a tough one on Saturday. Yeah,
I truly believe that this is a better football team this year, but it's just by a little bit. I don't think by a lot. Positive people could say, there's a few points away from being 5-0. And that is true, but I do think this is a program that for whatever reason these past few years has found ways to lose instead of finding ways to win. And, we were just talking about postseason baseball. That's why all of those teams are playing today and the others aren't. You do what you have to do. You don't make mistakes. Turnovers have been a killer, and obviously the quarterback is running scared right now.
Dudley, talk about this defense. I thought they were outstanding. I know we didn't force a turnover against A&M, but holding them to 21 points, and I thought it was Landon Jackson's best game this year as a Razorback. And then what Metcalf did against Auburn. But man, this defense is they're flying around.
Yeah, I don't think you can put it on the defense. They certainly have come to play. I think Travis Williams and those guys over on that side of the ball have done a really good job this year. They've taken in some portal transfers and done really well. I do think that they're still a little short in the defensive line. That'll be you'll see a really good one this weekend. I was on the Tennessee radio show this morning talking about how, they've got a guy who will probably be the number 1 NFL draft pick in James Pierce, the defensive end. He may not have 25 tackles the whole year because they've got 8 defensive linemen that they rotate in there. He hadn't had to play a lot. They're just really good on that side of the ball. And, man, you don't want to see a really good defensive line that has 8 different rotation guys when your offensive line here is struggling.
That's the thing, Matt. It's like I don't know where – if you're struggling to pass block up the middle – and if Sam says the tackles played better this last week, then I'll believe him. But there's still issues with pass blocking on the edges as well. I just don't know how you work with that offensively. Matt's throwing some ideas out there, but doesn't it all start with the offensive line? And if you can't pass block, you got to find a way around that. Is running the way around that, just like running it over and over again? Because I don't know if the pass blocking improves. That feels more like hope is not a plan.
Yeah, you know what? I fall into that saying, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. How do you want to succeed? How do you want to fail? I tell you what, it looked to me like Texas A&M almost had the snap count because they had a guy in the backfield right away. And I know that the tight ends have been hurt and similar things, but it just hadn't worked out. Maybe Patrick Kudus could help if he was able to play. It's confounding that that the offensive line hadn't been better here the past couple of years. I do think they've got one that's going to end up in the NFL and Francisco Carmona, but it's just not meshing for the second straight year.
Dudley, what about Tesla and Satania? I liked getting the ball to Satania early in the first half, and I thought he was close to breaking one of those, and it kind of seemed we faded him a little in the second. Tesla catches everything. Were you impressed the way those guys played? Do they need to be more involved in the offense?
Absolutely, but here's the thing, man, and I'm sure you've seen this. I went back and watched the video. Tesla was open 4 or 5 other times and didn't get the opportunity to catch the ball because either Taylor didn't go through his progressions or had three people in his face or decided to take off running maybe before he should. And I'm not criticizing him too much. I am criticizing him because, that's to be fair. But he's so shell-shocked to me, it looks like now, that he's not making the decisions that he normally would in the pocket. He still has those great throws on the difficult passes and floats them on the short ones. But I do think that maybe one of the tougher things this year, in addition to not getting Tesla, out there enough, to getting him enough balls, has been the lack of production from the tight ends. Obviously, Luke Hogs has been hurt. Ty Washington got hurt this week. It sounds like that neither one of those are certainty to play this weekend. And we all know in the few games that Luke Hogs got to play last year, he was a matchup problem, and I really expected him to have tons of catches by now. I don't think Andrew Armstrong would have $50 million or however he's got it if Hogs had been able to be on the field enough and they'd been able to get him the ball. I think that's really been one thing that struggled. Another thing that has struggled with the offense.
Well, they really found a diamond in the rough with Armstrong. I mean, Division II, and the guy's going to end up playing on Sundays.
I think so.
Absolutely. I mean, he more than anybody offensively right now is the MVP of this team. But
what's cool for a receiver?
Go ahead. Yeah, what is it, Dudley?
It is cool for receivers to catch the ball, and that's what he does. He very rarely does not come up with it.
Strong hands. Now, we were talking about that. I think Phil and I were yesterday about Tesla. I think has some of the best hands, but you can't deny Armstrong, man. If it goes to, he's like a gamer. It's like the ball kind of gets close to him. He kind of reminds me of a Decory Birmingham. If it gets close to, he's gonna come up with it. Yeah,
I have nothing against Tyrone Borden, but it just didn't working out for him this year. You've got to get the ball into the hands of Tesla and Armstrong more, and obviously Isaiah as well. And how many times has he fair caught a punt this year? That's been an area I thought that Arkansas would be able to get some strength out of, and it's been punt catching this year instead of punt returning.
Well, I know what you're saying there. That's another job that, man, you'd have to pay me another salary to be a punt returner. I mean, those guys are flying down like that, and catch the ball is the main thing, especially after we had some of that. What was that? The UAB game that we ran into the punter a couple times, or punt returner. Right. Yeah.
It was OSU.
Hey, special team star so far is the deep snapper.
Yeah, number 30.
He's getting that done, and he's making tackles down the field.
Why do you think it's been such a difficult thing to figure out the offensive line these last couple of years? Now, they were a strength, I think, in Sam's first 3 years. But, is it too simplistic to think you can – it's a different thing recruiting to Arkansas than recruiting to Georgia for every single position. But with the idea that Sam did build a good offensive line when he was the O-line coach at Arkansas – is it unfair to think that you could have the same sort of offensive line because he's the head coach?
Yeah, I think there's kind of three things when I look at this that I see in the offensive line. Number one, you have clearly missed on some folks, the past couple of years. Whether it was their work ethic or their talent, they're wanting to be on the team. I wouldn't go with NIL stuff in there if you want to. Also, I think that to me, this portal transfer, unless there's, some underlying circumstance, money or something like that, a person is leaving in a university because he wasn't playing there enough or he wasn't playing at all. And you've got some of that on the offensive lineman. And there is some youth there, too, but it just makes no sense whatsoever that you could have an offensive line guru, a guy that he has mentored, and Eric Matos, trying to work on this offensive line. They just should be better. It just doesn't make any sense.
Dudley, I do want to kind of get your thoughts on Pete Rose passing and kind of, I guess you can take it from where you want to, the player, the person. And do you think baseball during this postseason, do they do something? I mean, you had Jerry West, you had Bill Walton in basketball. They kind of tribute to them. Do you see baseball doing any type of tribute for Pete Rose during this postseason?
Yes, I do think they do, because I saw them. They sent out a press release that is out there this morning that talked about what a great player he was, and respects to his family and all that. So I can see that happening. He was one of the guys one of the non-Cardinals back in the day that I loved watching play, because he played football while playing baseball, and I think that was something I tried to emulate. When I was growing up and playing. Now, obviously, I think that the gambling whole thing, was a bad deal back then. I mean, I understand why they, got him out of the game, even though now, it's prevalent and they just kind of throw it up in there all the time. But I do think that his attitude on the field sometimes went over into his attitude in his personal life and public life, and I think that is probably one of the biggest reasons. If he was maybe a better dude, they would have already let him into the Hall of Fame. And I think he hurt himself in that regard by statements he made over the years.
I think the biggest statement that hurt him is I did not bet on baseball. I think that more than anything was the thing that has kept him out of the Hall for so long.
Not the crime, it's the cover-up.
That's exactly right. You can have sympathy for somebody that stands in front of you and says, I did something wrong. I shouldn't have done that. I'm going to admit to this. Rose never did that. He did it in a book, but by then I think it was too late.
Phil, I don't know if you've seen the picture, but you know how he played. There's a picture out there that I saw today of him just decking Bruce Bochy at the plate. And that's how baseball was played back then. And now, give him a lane, man. Give him a lane.
That's right. And on the day, too, where Buster Posey is elevated to general manager of the Giants, and the rule is basically because of Posey's injury at home plate from getting run over. Dudley, it's good to talk to you. Thanks for coming on today.
You bet, anytime, guys.
Thanks, Dudley.
BetOnline is your #1 source for all your betting needs. Get the latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for baseball, boxing, golf, and more. BetOnline continues to be the fastest and easiest way to place your wagers, including live betting and your favorite casino and card games available to play right from your phone. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and get in on the action. Remember to use our promo code BELIEVE. That's BLEAV for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online, where the game starts.